This video is about exponents. Exponents are the mathematician's shorthand. It makes it easier to write repeated multiplication. You might be wondering, what is repeated multiplication? Well, it is when the same factor is repeated in a multiplication problem. For example, if I have 3 times 3 times 3, my repeated factor is 3 because it is repeated in the multiplication problem. Here I have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. We're going to use this problem to practice exponential notation. Exponential notation uses a base and an exponent to write repeated multiplication. So let's practice using this problem here. We have 5 as our repeated factor. In exponential notation, the repeated factor is written as the base. So 5 will be our base in exponential notation. The second part of exponential notation is the exponent. The exponent is found by counting how many times the base number is repeated. So how many times is 5 repeated in this problem? Well, it's repeated 4 times, so our x is 4, the number of times the base is repeated. Let's try another example. Here I have 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. My base, remember, is my repeated factor. So here, my base is 7. My exponent is the number of times the base is repeated. So the base is repeated 5 times, which means my exponent is going to be 5. And here we have it written in exponential notation with our base as 7 and our exponent as 5. It is crucial that you remember exponential notation is different from regular multiplication. This exponential notation equals 7 being multiplied 5 times by itself. It does not mean 7. It is super important that you remember that. A helpful hint is to always ask yourself, what is the number that is being repeated? That is your base. And how many times is it repeated? 5 times. Some other important things to remember for exponents. Any number to the first power, so any number that has a 1 as an exponent, well, what that means is that the number is only repeated, the repeated factor, 1 time. So that is going to just equal itself. Any number to the first power equals itself. And finally, any number to the 0 power will equal 1. Important things to remember for this video. Exponents are used to show repeated multiplication. The base is the factor that is repeated. The exponent is the number of times it is repeated. Any number to the first power equals that number, and any number to the 0 power equals 1.